226. This is the number of victories Kyle Busch has currently across the top 3 divisions of NASCAR competition. This is almost a 20% winning average in series where 15 or more drivers could win at any event. Mechanical failures are not uncommon, and it is common to be collected in the accidents of others. Plus, a portion of these victories have been accomplished as both the driver and owner of his own vehicle. However, success has not been so forthright. There have been many issues on and off track. Kyle has often been described as a polarizing figure, but if you like larger-than-life personalities that are unapologetically brash, then Kyle Busch should be your favorite driver.
Everything's great. Looking forward to getting back to the racetrack and getting into my race car.
Kyle Thomas Busch was born the 2nd of May 1985 in sizzling Las Vegas, Nevada in the USA. Sin City, as it is often called, is home to flashing lights, cool water fountains, and plenty of questionable recreational activities. Plus, it's located in the middle of the Mojave Desert, essentially in the middle of nowhere. In the 1970s, Kyle's parents went on honeymoon here and decided it would be their new home. Gay and Tom Busch were originally from the Chicago, Illinois area, and they liked Vegas. Tom was a fan of the desert. There was no humidity, no snow, and especially no salt. He came from a family of car guys, and where they lived, especially in the 70s, salt used to de-ice the roads would wreak havoc on the cars. When they moved to Vegas, matriarch Gay began working in the Nevada school system. Tom, on the other hand, began working at a Ford dealership in town as a mechanic. One of his fellow mechanics owned and raced a car at the local short tracks. Unfortunately, he wasn't as competitive as he had hoped to be and was going to sell the car. Tom convinced him to let him drive the car for the rest of the season, and he would win 2 of the 4 races. So for the next year, they rebuilt the car, and Tom Busch would end up as track champion. Tom was the role model that got his children interested in racing. He also taught them a very no-nonsense and all-I-care-about-is-winning mentality. He was so successful locally, his 2 boys would ask their mother why their father got booed so much. She explained that other people wanted to see someone else win sometimes, but Tom sure didn't care, and he did his best to make sure no one else had a chance. An interesting precursor, considering both his sons would be booed during their careers. When Kyle was born, his family worked hard for what they had, his mother in the schools and his father as a Mac tools supplier. He was born 6.5 years after Kurt, and he played the role of little brother well. His family always went to watch their father at the racetrack, his mother saying that Kyle was at the track just 10 days after he was born. He learned to drive on a little go-kart around his house with his brother and fell in love with racing, helping his father in the garage. Growing up, Kyle played baseball and was always determined to race. He started racing at age 13, a few years earlier than his brother. Technically, he was still too young to race locally, but with a forged birth certificate to the officials, he was 14. In his first Legends car race, he practiced well and qualified 3rd. In his first start, the race would run mostly green the whole time, but he would manage to stay ahead of the leader and finish on the lead lap. He was excited, his father was pumped, it was a good debut. In the first year of Legends competition, young Busch won the Las Vegas Bull Ring Track Championship, won the Nevada State Semi-Pro Championship, and would finish 3rd in the National Legends car standings across the whole country. With both brothers racing, the family did all they could to save money. Their father did the majority of the mechanical work on the cars, but he also taught his sons how to do a lot of it as well, because they had to take care of their own equipment. He wasn't going to fix any of the mistakes they made while racing. Their father hated torn-up cars, and Kyle remembers the look of disappointment on his father's face if the car came back crashed. That was a lot of wasted time and money. The family had no expectations of success in racing, but they did it because they enjoyed it. As long as the boys had good grades in school, they could continue racing for as long as their family could support. Kyle continued his success in legend cars, and when he turned 15, he started racing at the local dirt modified series, like his father had before him. However, again, Kyle was officially too young to race, and after about 14 races, this was discovered and he was booted from the series. Then in 2001, when Kyle was old enough, he started racing late model stock cars. Even with the heavier cars, he took to it right away, and in his rookie season would win 10 of the 15 races, securing the championship. Then at only 16, he received a call from Max Jones at Roush Racing, the same team that gave his brother his NASCAR break, wanting to put Kyle in their truck. In August of 2001, 16-year-old Kyle would make his first start in the NASCAR Truck Series at Indianapolis Raceway Park. In his first race, he would score a top 10. Over the next few races, he would be competitive, but he'd have a tire failure or run out of gas. He says going into the series was intimidating because you had experienced veterans who worked their whole careers to be there, and now young Kyle was challenging them. It made it hard to assimilate into the other drivers. Future team owner Joe Gibbs remembers talking to his son Coy, who was racing trucks, and him complaining about some kid outrunning everyone and hoping they would kick him out. Unfortunately for Kyle, this prophecy would come to fruition. His performance had earned him the 2002 ride in the Roush number 99 truck. At the 2001 Auto Club 200 at Fontana Speedway, in practice Kyle was fastest overall. However, the weekend headlining event was the Kart Marlboro 500, so in the sports section of the newspaper it read 16-year-old fastest ahead of Marlboro 500 weekend. The state attorney general saw the association of an underage child with a tobacco company and contacted NASCAR to put an end to it. As a result, NASCAR made its first rule associated with Busch, a minimum age of 18 to participate in the top NASCAR divisions. As such, Kyle was disqualified and told to come back when he was older. Near the end of the year, Kyle was barred from NASCAR, but within 5 months he'd have a deal to race in the American Speed Association National Tour with a team in Ohio supported by Roush Racing. In a year, he would be old enough to race in the trucks again. A few months into the ASA season, Kyle would graduate from Durango High School a year early. He would walk in his graduation ceremony, then immediately hop on a 6:30 flight to the other side of the country to be near the race team. Throughout the year, he wouldn't get any victories, but he would lead some laps, get plenty of competitive finishes, and end the season 8th in points. Now of age, the plan was to contest the 2003 season in the trucks with Roush Racing. However, his brother Kurt had also been racing for Roush, and while he was competitive, people also viewed him as a hothead who regularly received boos from fans. Kyle wanted to get out of the shadow of Kurt and try to create his own identity, so he accepted an offer from Rick Hendrick. In the ARCA series, he would make 7 starts, get 3 poles, and victories in his first 2 races. However, in the Busch Grand National Series, at his first race he would qualify 5th, and be booed at driver intros. Before he had even started his first race, fans had a negative opinion of him. He'd lead laps in the Charlotte race and finish 2nd. He'd finish 2nd 2 races later at Darlington. In 7 races, he'd have 2 DNFs, 3 top 10s, and runner-up finishes twice. The next season, he would be competing full-time. In the 2004 NASCAR Busch Series, Kyle Busch would lead the most laps, get 5 poles, and 5 wins, finishing 2nd in the championship to Martin Truex Jr. In the Cup Series, he would qualify for 6 out of 9 attempted races, and DNF in 3 of those. He started to build a reputation for being hot-tempered, much like his older brother. He was so dissatisfied with anything but winning, and anytime the car ended up damaged, he'd become very confrontational, a residual effect of their family situation growing up and taking care of his own equipment. Being younger and a bit immature, he had issues controlling his emotions and fitting in around the garage. His best friend who understood and supported him the most was Ricky Hendrick, the son of his team owner. Ricky was a few years older and had previously raced as well, but now he was key at guiding young talent. Unfortunately, late in the 2004 season, Ricky would lose his life in the Team Hendrick plane crash. A week later, Hendrick cars would race with a special remembrance on their cars for the lost family members. At Atlanta, Kyle would finish 2nd, and he considered it a blatant failure.
Not quite enough. What are your feelings?
I didn't have enough. 17 beat us.
And Kyle, thinking of things today, obviously, guys, tried his best.
He wanted nothing more than to win and at least give a little back to his friend and family that had supported him so much. For the following season, Kyle would go full-time in the Cup Series driving the Hendrick number 5. He would finish 2nd in only his 3rd race, but generally, things were kind of rocky. Teammate Jeff Gordon has said when he arrived, he had an attitude that no one was better than him, and he was just as fast. And Jeff believes that would have been true if he had not hit the wall in practice or would make little mistakes that derailed his race. Later in the year, he would get his first Cup win at Fontana, California. In his Victory Lane interview, he gave all his winnings away to victims of Hurricane Katrina, and then he pulled Rick Hendrick in front of the camera and volunteered his as well.
Hey, Mr. H. Hey.
Calling for Rick Hendrick.
We're going to donate your share and my share of these winnings to the Red Cross for the foundation down there.
Absolutely.
There you go. So
Kyle had finally made it. Through his career, things have not always been smooth sailing. He's had on and off track feuds with Brad Kozlowski,
Kyle Busch is an ass.
Kevin Harvick, and Kevin Harvick Incorporated,
I'm going back here and we're going to have a little talk. And there goes his car.
and even his older brother Kurt. which indirectly led to the loss of his Kellogg cereal contract at Hendrick, and inevitably led to him being replaced by Dale Earnhardt Jr. This only further heightened the tension between these two drivers. When Kyle had entered the series, he was a fan of Dale Jr., envious of his popularity, and wanted to hang out, but he wasn't old enough to be invited to parties. As time went on, their personalities clashed, and after being replaced by him, Kyle wanted to prove to everyone that he was the better driver, which led to this event where Kyle was trying too hard to beat Dale, slid up the track, and cemented himself as unpopular with the fans.
A little too much and gets into him and it turned him around. I hate that.
After joining Joe Gibbs Racing, new sponsor M&M's was so desperate to win races again, they were fine with Kyle carrying himself however he wanted. And after the Richmond incident, Kyle came to terms with probably not being well liked by most. He started racking up wins across the top 3 divisions of NASCAR, inevitably leading to another Kyle Busch-based rule limiting Cup drivers to only 5 non-Cup Series races a year. Kyle continued to play up the persona of a cocky perfectionist who only cared about victories, sometimes antagonizing the fans, winning all 3 races a weekend, getting in fights, and even exciting fans by doing things he saw as completely harmless. In his defense, he says he was excited to finally win at this track, and at least this way all his team members got a piece of the same trophy. For many years he had no troubles getting victories, but securing a championship still eluded him. At the beginning of the 2015 season, he would have a massive crash at Daytona and shatter his legs. Most people told him to take the year off, but he was determined to return in 11 weeks. And when he did return, he returned with a vengeance, finally securing his first championship. He then backed it up with a second championship in 2019. He's recently parted ways with Joe Gibbs, joining up with Richard Childress Racing, owned by a man that he's been punched by before, but things are obviously resolved now. At the beginning of the 2022 documentary Rowdy, it starts with a quote from Kyle saying he would like to be well liked when he retires, and right now he's not close to either. But I think this next chapter could sway some people.
You're going to enjoy it for sure, and hopefully there's many more left to go.
Kyle Busch, your winner in California.
So in this video, I use clips and information from the 2022 documentary Rowdy, and if this information interests you further, you can find the full movie for free on Amazon. But if you don't get these free Amazon services in your part of the world, you can break geo-blocking with today's... I'm just kidding, there is no sponsor. My sponsors are every single one of you watching and sharing these videos, so I appreciate it very much. But now, for my next video, it'll be about a guy who has spent a large part of his career with a target on his back. Competitors have been chasing him for over 2 decades, and unfortunately for them, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down anytime soon. He's a bit quiet, a bit sneaky, but if he's on track, you will know he's there. So make your guesses in the comments below, but until then, I'll see you next time on Driver Profiles.